Okay, here we go. Math lesson 13-1. Our math objectives are: I can find equivalent fractions that name the same part of a whole. I can understand fractions are numbers that represent or stand for or show parts of a whole. I can explain my thinking and show my work using academic words, numbers, and pictures. So here we have Gregor threw a softball 3/4 of the length of the yard in front of his house. Find as many fractions as you can that name the same part of the length that Gregor threw the ball. Find as many other fractions as you can. But let's start with 3/4 here. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to divide this into 4 equal parts, right? 3/4 tells you that it's divided into 4 equal parts, and that 3 of those parts are what we're talking about. There's our 3/4 of his front yard where he threw that ball. Ooh. We're looking for some other fractions that might line up with that. Let me see if I can divide this one. I divide it in half, 2 parts, but it's not equivalent. It's not the same. Let's see if I divide it in thirds, 3 equal parts. No, those parts are not the same as 3/4. But that'll be our goal today, is see if we can find an equivalent fraction to 3/4. Fractions that name the same part of a whole are called equivalent fractions. Look at that word equivalent. I think what does that look like? Equal. I bet this has something to do with being equal. Equivalent fractions are equal. They are the same. Equivalent means equal and the same. Let's look and see here. We do have some equivalent fractions here. If we look and see this one whole, it is the same. It's the same as these 2 halves. Same size. Started the same, ends the same size. That one whole and these 2 halves are also the same, equivalent to 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, they all line up the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, they're all 8s. That means this is divided into 8 parts, and 8 of them are equivalent to 4/4, equivalent to 2 halves, equivalent to 1 whole. 1/2. Let's see, 1/2, yep, is the same as 2/4. They are equivalent. 1/2, if we look at this line, also matches up down here, as the same as 4/8. If I ate 4/8 of a pizza and Jake ate 1/2 of the pizza, we would have eaten equivalent amounts of pizza. We would have eaten the same. You can find equivalent fraction for 4/6 using an area model. So here we have a little model of 4/6. They are the same size whole, which means it's the same size outside square, same size cake. One is divided into 6ths. That's this one right here. Denominator 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pieces. The other shows thirds. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Denominator shows how many parts the whole is broken into. The shaded parts show the same part of a whole. 4 parts are shaded. That means we're talking about those 4 parts there. Over here, we're talking about 2 parts. 2 parts out of the 3, and they shaded those. But they're saying 4/6 equals 2/3. They're saying these 4/6 are equivalent to 2/3. Let's try this. If I slide this over, remember the outside is the same. And you can see those are the same size. Those blue shaded parts are the same size as those 4 purple shaded parts. So yes, 4/6 equals 2/3, which means another name for 4/6 is 2/3. It's the same fraction, you're just calling it by another name. Sorry, get rid of those. Okay. Okay, divide the second area model into sixths. Shade it to show a fraction equivalent or the same as 1/3. So here they have a box, they have a pizza, they have a cake. They divided it into 3 pieces, but we're talking about one. 1/3 is shaded. So they want me to divide this one into sixths. Well, let me see what I can do here. Let's start by doing it the same way they did, and they cut it across there. They cut it across here. It's only 3 pieces, so now I'm going to try and cut right down here. Now I have 6 pieces, which means I've divided this cake into sixths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I want to shade it to be equivalent to 1/3. I'm going to shade this right up here. That's the part of the cake that I'm eating. And it's the same. It's got a different name, though. It has a different name. 1/3 is the same as, how many parts did I color there? 2. Out of how many parts total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So there's 1/3 is equal to 2/6. They are equivalent fractions. They are the same. I wonder if there's another way that I could divide this fraction, this box up here. Let's try this here. There are usually more than one way that you can divide this. What if I cut the cake like this? Let's check. Did I do it in 6? They're not exactly equal. I did that a little quick, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, I've got it into sixths. And I've shaded 2 of them. So this 2/6 is the same as 1/3. If I eat 1/3 of the pizza and Jake eats 2/6 of the pizza, we ate the same amount of pizza, equivalent, just different names. All right, look and see what we have here. Use the fraction strips to help you find an equivalent fraction. What is equivalent to 1/4? You want to know what is the same. Remember, equals means the same. What is the same as 1/4? Well, we're going to show you this little tool you can use here. Toytheater.com fraction strips. Let's put that 1/4 up there. And let's try and find a fraction that is the same. 1/3? Nope, not the same. Not the same. Not equivalent. Let's try 1/5. No, not the same. Got to add another one. No, they're not the same. What if I try something smaller there? Maybe 1/12 would fit. That's very close to the same, but they're not the same, and you cannot combine 2 different fractions. Equivalent fractions are just going to be one denominator equals another denominator. You may not combine 2 different denominators here. Now that's not going to work either. Let's see. Let's try 1/8 up here. 1/8. They are the same. So we can say 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. 1/4 is equal to 2/8. Let's try another one up here too. See if we'll find something that matches. Look at that. 1/4 is also equivalent to 3/12. 1/4 is the same as 3/12. So let's go back here and see. 1/4 is the same as 2/8. It's equivalent. 2/8 and 1/4. All right, your turn. Exit slip. Go to Power School in Pearson 13-1, solve and share. That'll be your exit slip. Make sure you use the tools. Use the shape tools, use the typing tools so you can explain your thinking very clearly. Watch the 13-1 video lesson. You can also watch this video lesson again and pause it anytime you want. And then the 13-1 practice buddy. Score 80% or higher. If you go to toytheater.com, in the search box, you put fraction strips, you will find those fractions and you can play with it. There's also other fraction things that you can play with too to learn your fractions. Okay, that's it. Go to it. Have fun.